All right, so you did it. You made the decision, right? You're moving from where you're at now. You're going to move to the Triad area of North Carolina. And now we have to decide, where should you search for a house at? Should you look in Winston-Salem, Greensboro, maybe even High Point? Should it be in the city or a suburb? Different things like that. A lot of questions going through your mind once you initially make that decision, right? And truth be told, there are a lot of really good areas to live throughout the Triad, whether, like I said, Winston-Salem, Greensboro, suburbs, all different places where you would probably be happy. But in this video, I want to talk about ways to narrow down your search so you can really find the right spot for you, your family, your pets, whoever you're bringing here. I'm Jeff Valentino. I love helping people buy and sell real estate, and my contact information is below. And that's actually the first thing that you should do. Reach out to me. Just shoot me a quick email or text, something like that. We'll have a quick correspondence. I'll kind of get your thoughts on a few things, but really the big next step is going to be to schedule a call where we can talk much more in depth. We typically do those on Zoom or telephone if you prefer, but I really want to schedule a time when it's just going to be you and I, or you and whoever else is moving with you, and what your priorities are for your move. So what I want to kind of do in this video a little bit different. I want to talk through some of how that call will go, just so you can understand. I found that doing this and really going in depth on some of these things does a couple different things. One, it helps solidify the decision in your mind of where you should narrow your search to. But two, it really begins to take some of the stress off the process. I can literally see it in people's face or hear it in their voice. After we talk, it's just like, oh, they feel so much more relaxed. They're starting to get a plan together. So yes, shameless plug, reach out to me, we'll talk, but then we're gonna schedule this call. On this call, we're gonna talk about a few different things. The first thing I wanna know about is, what has your research turned up? Maybe you've watched a lot of my videos. I talk to people, they've been watching them for years. They're more confident in just knowing, okay, I think I wanna live here, here's the reason why, and we'll talk through some of that. But really, what has your research, where is that pointing you to? The other thing that allows me to do is say, hey, if you're considering Oak Ridge, maybe you should also think about Louisville, or because they're kind of similar suburbs, just one's for Greensboro, one's for Winston-Salem. But we'll talk through, maybe I can think of some things that you haven't thought of that we can discuss that give you a couple more or different options. Next thing we're going to talk about is just, where do you see yourself living? Do you like a city feel where you're really close to downtown, or you're in the smaller, close-knit neighborhoods where, houses are closer together, lots can be a little bit smaller? Or do you like a suburb feel? Or do you like newer construction? Or do you really like, homes with character, or the 70s ranches that have the larger lots? Just kind of, what are you thinking? What are your thoughts? What do you like? How do you see yourself living every day? And the reason why we want to do that is because the actual home is important. There are some good places to live all over the Triad, but some are going to be more desirable than others. Some are you going to be able to get more bang for your buck because you're outside of the city. So the type of house and the type of place you like to live really does play a big role. After we talk about that, probably one of the biggest things that people ask me about all the time is the schools. I want to be by this school, or a school that has this programs, or they want to be near this certain charter or magnet school or something like that. Schools are always really important. And even if you don't have school-age children, if they're grown, maybe it's going to be important because homes that are in top-rated school districts are always going to be more desirable, and maybe you're concerned about that for resale. There are a lot of good school districts throughout the Triad, in Winston-Salem, outside of Winston-Salem, in the suburbs, in Greensboro, in the Northwest School District, like we've talked about. There are a lot of highly rated schools all over the Triad. So again, if that's a priority to you, we're going to talk through some of that. But even more, why is it important? Like, do you need a specific program, type of school, or something like that? Next thing we're going to talk about is going to be your commute. Now, believe it or not, a lot of people live in one town, say Greensboro, and commute to Winston-Salem for work, vice versa. It's not always the easiest, especially if you travel right on those specific rush hour times. There will be some ways, like, in Winston-Salem, I know, like the 52 north and south, and where 40 and 52 meet, that gets pretty crowded around rush hour times. So we can have a discussion like that. Do you have to commute every day, and where's your office at? Or maybe you're hybrid and remote, or maybe you're fully remote and it doesn't matter. So we'll talk a little bit about commute, things that are important to you, where you want to work, what type of field you're in, and because the job you're at today might not be the job you're at forever. So we'll talk through some of those and just really see what's important for you commute-wise as well. Next biggest thing we're going to discuss after that is, what do you like to do when you're not working? Just kind of some of those lifestyle things. Do you like going to downtown to try different restaurants, or do you like, the theater, or do you like to go hike? Are you beach? Maybe you'll prefer Greensboro or the eastern side of Greensboro, or are you mountains? Maybe you like Winston-Salem because it's closer and the topography is a little bit more different. I had a client that was really avid kayaker, and they loved the idea of being near the Yadkin River, so that made a lot of sense to them to be further west. Or another one that was really into mountain biking, and some of the amazing mountain bike trails that Greensboro has around was a big draw to them. So again, just some, not only just the recreation items, because there are great hiking spots around all 3 cities in the Triad, but some of those other things, right? Do you like to go to Trader Joe's every week and you got to be X amount of distance from there? Or is Costco your thing and you really want to see what the houses within a couple mile radius of Costco looks like? Whatever your lifestyle is, or do you want to just be kind of almost off the grid, right? Do you want to go like south of High Point, almost down to Lexington, where you just have a lot more space on your own? Like, what is your lifestyle? What are you looking for? And how does all that fit into everything else we've already discussed? Then what I would suggest that you do is, once we talk through all these, we'll start formulating an opinion on this call. We'll say, okay, you've told me this, this, and this. Let's take a look here. What we're going to do then is we're going to actually look at some houses. This is before you even come out here. We're going to look at some houses. Hop on your favorite app, Redfin, Zillow, Realtor, whatever you want to do. Look at some houses, one that is for sale, right, currently, but also more importantly, look at something that's sold recently. Okay, this house sold for $450,000. It's near, this school district, and it's near, 10 minutes from Trader Joe's and fits all that stuff. Would I have bought that house? Can I see myself living there, right? So hop in on the Google Street View, take a look around the neighborhood, look through the pictures of the house. It sold for this price. It was on the market for this amount of time. This gives you a couple different things. It gives, the idea of the home and the condition, but 2, how much time it spent on the market, what it ended up selling for. By looking at, recent comps, it can really give you a solid idea of what's going on in that neighborhood. But more importantly, did everything we just talked about before that, all the stuff we spent, that 30 or 40 minutes talking about before this, does all that line up, and would that make sense for a house for you? Now, if it does, great, we're on the right track. But if you look and you're not seeing, or you're seeing houses that are only like way out of your price range, or houses that are, don't fit a lot of the criteria, or maybe that area has just a lot of older houses, everything that's within, this school district, and you really prefer newer construction, and there just wasn't a lot on there. What we can do then is we can go back and adjust where we need to make sure that your time is spent in the most efficient way when you actually do get ready to search for a home. If you're thinking about buying or selling a house anywhere in the Triad, Winston-Salem, Greensboro, High Point, any of the suburbs, I'd love to be a resource for you. You can reach out directly to me by emailing me at jeff@govalentino.com. Thanks.